Hello and welcome to week 6 of the Potteries Fly Tying Club Beginners YouTube patterns. This week we're going to be tying the Connemara black. The new technique you're going to learn this week is a rolled mallard wing. Okay, firstly this time I'm going to wax my thread. I'm going to actually run the thread through the wax a couple of times. The reasoning and rationale behind this is that I'm going to be tying materials on quite close to the front, almost just at the back of the head. So what I want to do is just start my fly in the same way, but basically stop where the back of the head is going to be. This is a Partridge of Redditch hook, K4AY, size 10, and I've got uni thread 80 black on there. Now what I need to do now is actually invert my hook. Okay, it is easy. It is possible to tie this fly obviously without a full rotary head, but it does make it a little bit easier when putting these beard hackles on, because we're putting 2 beard hackles in this time. It does make it a little bit easier. So the first material we're going to be using is a J covert fibre. Okay, what we're going to do is take a few of these fibres off, perhaps half a dozen or so. Okay, and these are going to be tied in facing forwards in the same way that we've done a beard hackle before. What you want to do, you want to tie them in forwards roughly the right length, so that when they slope back, they sit underneath the wing, underneath the point of the hook. You want to do a pinch and loop and tie those down onto there. Just a couple of turns, because what we're then going to do, we're then going to put another set of beard hackles on as well. And for these ones it's black cock. Now we're putting the black cock on second because as we fold them back, we actually want the J fibres to be over the top of the black cock. So when they're in the folded back position, that's when they sit properly. Again, just straighten out your black cock fibres, pull a few off. Okay, lay them on top around the same length. And another pinch and loop there. And just make sure that they sit pretty much on top of the J fibres. Okay, and then tie them back down a couple of turns just to secure them, and snip off the waste from both feathers at the same time. Okay, you can then put your hook the right way up in the vise. And what we're going to add in now is the rib. This is going back to, this is a flat wire, an oval wire rib, silver medium, uni French this is. So we tie the rib in at this point, and we start working our way back down the fly, tying that rib in on the side as we go. Doesn't got to be perfect touch and turns in this one, because we are going to be dubbing the fly. Okay, so tie that back until you get to about a point opposite the barb. Now we're going to add in the tail. Now the tail is golden pheasant topping, so in previous lessons we've obviously used the golden pheasant there. What we're going to be using now is these fibres that sit behind, come straight off the top of the head. These fibres have got a natural curl in them as well, so they do look really nice once they're put in place on the tail. You need to cut a short section off. Tidy those up, and as you can see, they've got quite a nice natural curl in them. So the tail wants to be about the same length as the fly, so we measure that, pop it into place on the top, and do a pinch and loop to hold that on. Take your thread right back down to where you've tied off your silver wire. Okay, make sure your tail fibres are looking something like. And then you can, again, snip off the waste on those ones. Okay. We now dub some seal furs on. Now seal fur is notoriously difficult to dub. It's quite long fibres, it's quite stiff fibres, but it gives it's got a translucency to it that's very hard to replicate with any naturals. Now to dub seal's fur on, I usually wax my thread. I just find it just gives it just a little bit more grip and just makes it a little bit easier to dub on. What you will need to do when you get your seal's fur, you need to not dub on a lot again, you know, dub on half the amount. Whatever amount you think you need, you probably need half of it. But when you squeeze it on, when you're actually doing your dubbing, you really need to press. You need some serious pressure between your finger and thumb to actually get that to roll properly onto the fly. Yeah, onto the thread. Okay, it's not, like I say, it's not the easiest of materials to work with, but it offers a particular translucency when it gets wet that's fantastic as a fishing fly. Okay, I've not quite got enough on there. That's just shy of the head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dub virtually up to where I've tied in the beard hackle, because that's where we're going to be tying in the wing. Just a small amount more. What to do is just take that up until it gets to about the point where you've tied in that beard hackle. Now obviously because it's a long fibre, it does tend to stick out a little bit, so you can trim this down a bit and just tidy it up. Just trim the dubbing back and just tidy it. It just makes it just finishes it off just that little bit. Another one there. Okay, and we're winding the rib up. You can counterwind this, or you can wind it in the same direction. I'm just going to wind it in the same direction because the rib is relatively thick, and the dubbing is, you know, it's not heavy dub. It's not a heavily dubbed fly. It doesn't actually disappear into the dubbing, so just wind this up in the same direction. Okay, get it to the front. Pull it in front of your thread. And tie that off at the head. Everything, the head end of this fly can get quite crowded because there's quite a bit going on down there. Okay, lift your thread out of the way. Snip your end off. Now, what we're going to have to do now is try and fall. There's a few fibres that are just sitting on the where I want the head to be. It's important I take these off because this is actually where the wing will sit, and it's good to have a nice level base for your wing. So if you just put a few turns on, just to tidy all that area up. Okay, now we're going to use some bronze mallard flank. And the way to use this is to use it and pull the feathers out from the bottom end. The feathers at the bottom tend to stick together better than the fibres near the top. So these fibres up here, you can see already that they're sort of separating off. But these ones down here do tend to stay together a little better. So you want about maybe double the width of the hook gape. So it's quite a wide wing. So what we're going to do, you normally do this on your leg. It's much easier if you do this on your leg. what we're going to do is fold them in half. Okay. And then in half again. It's very difficult to do this when it's, like I say, when it's not on your leg. And what you will find is you'll get something that looks something like that. Okay, now this is where we've been practicing the pinch and loop. This is where it really comes into its own, because it's this is what the pinch and loop was originally designed for. It's why I've been teaching it to you a little bit earlier for the last couple of weeks. You want your wing to come around about halfway along your tail. Hold it in place, pinch, pinch, and lift. Do not let go of the piece that's in your fingers. You'll feel the wing fold down underneath your fingers. Pinch, pinch, pull. Okay, keep hold of the piece that's in your hand already. Keep that really tight. Okay, just make sure everything's sitting nicely on top. Then you say a little prayer to the wing god and hope everything's worked properly. And then it sits something like that. Okay, lift this section at the front. Put your scissors in the same plane as the eye of the hook and snip that section off. What you want to do then is just tidy that front bit up a little touch. Okay, and then pull your thread out behind, stroke all those fibres back that you've put in the beard hackle. Put a few turns in just to hold those in place as well. Okay. So what we've got now is the blue J fibres have actually now, because they were on the bottom, are now actually on the top because we folded them back. So they sit really nicely underneath on that angle. There's a few loose fibres there. You can sometimes do. You can get those to stay in place. If you wet your fingers, you just rub them down the fly and just sort of mould them into place. Okay, a couple of stray fibres there over the front. They're the couple of the seal fur fibres I'm not quite happy with. Okay, quick wet finish. Push and pull. Varnish the head. Actually getting to slice this the way I would like to, because of where the camera's situated. There we go. And that is the Connemara black.